This is the men's room.
Forget it, man, and get with the countdown. Shake this square world and blast off for Kicksville. The Grippers, the Grasshoppers, the Hip Ones, all gathered in secrecy and flying high as a kite.
You're listening to the men's room with Miles and Thrill.
Who Sucks Less coming up? Another round of profile. This is our question. Men's room blank style. I'll never forget what happened because blank was wearing blank. 844-999-OLA.
Hello, Matt. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola.
Hola.
So in high school, we used to hang out at one of my buddies' houses and, drink and carry on, do whatever. We could kind of do what we wanted because he lived with his grandfather. And his grandfather also, was a man of the sauce and would go out to
a man of the
Elks
sauce
Club and all that jazz. And so he'd come home late at night. We could see him pull into the driveway. We'd put our stuff away. He'd come in. We'd talk, whatever. He'd go pass out, and then we'd go carry on. And so one night, we're just being jerks out in the living room, as boys will do. And so he's had enough of our shenanigans, and he comes out, and we can hear him coming out of his bedroom. We're like, oh, geez, everybody to your place, act like you're asleep, whatever. So we're all just, passed out in the living room, wherever. And one of my friends was, passed out in the hallway, or pretending to be passed out in the hallway. And I can see, because I'm laying on the sofa, and I can see down the hallway, and I see his silhouette coming. I'm like, oh, my gosh, he's naked. His grandpa's naked. And so here he comes, and everyone's being quiet. And I realize he's not naked. This man is Porky Piggin. He's only has a T-shirt on.
Oh, that's even worse.
Yeah, so he comes. So he's walking out, and I'm just like, oh, geez.
That is worse.
Nobody else can see him at this point. And finally, he comes standing out, and where he stops is right over the top of my other friend.
Oh, so he's just dangling twig and berries right down on top of him.
Totally, just teabagging the ass out of him, And so he's just like, hey, boy, you guys knock this crap out, blah, 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 blah. And we're all just dying because all of a sudden we realize, oh, my God. I've never seen something like this before.
I don't know if I've ever seen anybody, what you say, porky pigging before, but I love the term. And I think you're right, Steve. I think it'd be worse to see someone with a shirt on and no pants.
I don't know why
it would
is.
be to see a person just fully naked. Yeah. Why do you have the shirt on if you got no pants?
Who really knows?
Because, when I go to look, I sleep naked. But if I'm not naked, more than likely I'll just have fallen asleep in boxers. But I never have a shirt on.
Right.
I never have a shirt on and no pants.
If I'm wearing anything, it's going to be for my waist.
Right. I'm trying to cover up because my kids are staying there.
Right. I've never even fallen
Maybe they
asleep.
need to walk in and get some Advil or something. I just want to make sure I'm not naked. But I never would have a T-shirt on, no pants.
I told you there's a whole term for those people I can't use on the radio. But if you
Here, kill the mics real quick.
Yeah, just kill the mics for a minute. I want to know.
Jeez, man.
Where did you hear that?
Burning Man. There's roaming groups of them.
Oh,
And
no way.
that's just
and that's what they do?
Yeah, they just wear T-shirts and shoes.
And that's their thing.
No masks
it.
or anything?
No.
What about when the sand comes?
It gets on their thing.
Hey.
All right.
It gets on their willy.
Okay. Seems a little bit much.
Sandy Willie.
I've heard a story of a guy that was painting a girl's thigh, right?
Okay.
So he's knelt down kind of at her thigh level, painting, kind of like a tattoo on her thigh.
Yeah.
He doesn't realize that all the Porky Piggers have come in while he's down there. So when he's done, he turns and it's just
nothing but penis.
Wall of penis.
Yeah, just staring at him.
Oh, man. Men's room blank question. I'll never forget what happened because blank was wearing blank. 844-999-OLA.
Hello, Paul. Welcome to the men's room.
Jesus.
Hola.
Hola.
So this one's about me. So there's a music festival I went to in 2015. I don't know if you guys have heard about it. It's called Paradiso.
Yeah, I've heard of the name.
And it's one of the best times of my life. Everybody's just doing drugs, doing everything you can possibly think of. So I was one of those D-bags that was always proud of what I had packing, I guess you can say. And so I was wearing basically a man thong, one of them that takes the shape and shows just about everything. And I'm up there at the main stage, and halfway through a song, this gorgeous girl comes up to me. She's probably mid-20s, and she just grabs it. I'm just in shock because I'm high, And I was like, oh, all right, this is pretty cool. What's this all about? Oh, I just think you're hot, and I wanted to grab your junk and see if you wanted to get out of here.
I have that problem all the time.
Yeah, it happens to me in the grocery store a lot.
Oh, yeah, always at the grocery store. So we wind up, it's a weekend-long festival, and so they have carnival rides and all that stuff for everybody that's tripping out and having fun, all the lights. And basically, we go up to the, what do they call it, the carousel. And we go up to the top and we start getting after it. And, I'll never forget that because...
Yeah, because she grabbed your junk.
Right, yeah.
She was hot, you got laid. I remember that, too. Have you tried to recreate the magic of the thong? Like, do you feel like that's your good luck go-to now?
Did you ever see her again?
She found me on Facebook somehow. I don't know how because she didn't even have my name. But, yeah. And then after that, didn't really talk to her, but pretty much we had some fun up at the top of the carousel, and I was proud of my junk once more.
I just think if,
I feel like if I wore a thong,
someone were
the
to
cops get involved.
Walk up to me and lead me away by my junk with their hand, like I'd get a number or, you know what I mean? Like an email address or like, hey, where do you work? Or what do you do
like
for
his
a living?
weak-ass attempt at self-deprecation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I was one of those D-bags who was proud of what I had.
Well, you got to be if you're in a
only
thong.
so that the story leads to the fact that he got laid because of what he had.
Yeah, but only if you're in a thong.
Right.
Obviously. I'll never forget what happened because blank was wearing blank. 844-999-OLA.
Hello, Shauna. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola!
Hola!
Okay, I'll never forget this one time that I was bartending at the Radisson, and it was predominantly a businessman's bar, but our uniform was black nylons and a little black skirt.
Of course.
It was super slammed, and I was the only one on, and I had to use the restroom. So I ran in, and I used the restroom, and I pulled my nylons up, and I ran back to bartend. And then about 10 minutes into it, I start to feel like people are kind of looking at me funny. And I look down, and I tucked my skirt into my nylon. So I've been bartending for like 10 minutes, well, with just nothing but sheer nylons on.
Yeah.
That's why nobody said anything.
I bet people love that.
Oh, no, needless to say, it was a pretty good tip night.
Yeah, did you bob the round tucking? It's like,
right.
hey, man, you're going to make a lot of money.
No, I was super embarrassed.
Are you shocked that nobody said anything?
No, nobody. Well, one guy at the end was, when he was trying to get my attention, I think to tell me, I just ignored him because I was like, I don't have to you.
That's what you get.
Yep.
Well, also, imagine being like, hey, I think you put your skirt in your nylon. To be like, it's called fashion, old man.
Oh, no, it was completely shoved in the top. Like, everything was hanging out.
Okay.
But good tip. See?
Yeah,
That's funny how that works. Man.
Just an accident.
Yeah, I feel like you have to, you see the guy with the toilet paper on his shoe, I don't know him, but hey, man, toilet paper, your fly is down, any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I don't do the fly thing. Unless I really, really know you.
It depends on the situation.
I got to know you. Or it's got to be, or you're old.
Why wouldn't you tell him?
Well, sometimes it's just
because I just don't want to walk up to go, hey, dude, man, your junk's hanging out. No, if I don't know you.
All you got to do is walk by, hey, barn door. I mean, you don't have to stop.
Barn door.
No, just say the term. Because
you think most people know barn door?
Yeah, I had to just say it to me. I'm not giving. What sucked is I'd taken a bus and I'd done maybe 9/10 of my walk through downtown by 10,000 people, but one guy is crossing the street and all he said was, barn door, my man. And for a second, I'm like, what are you oh, God damn it. My fly is down, man.
I'm with
the
you.
Animals are getting out.
Right. It's so odd that you would just be like, what?
Oh, barn
and
door.
You never feel like, if somebody said, hey, dude, or just like your fly's down, you feel like such a jackass. I would never be like, well, don't talk about
barn
my fly.
door is a good answer. That's a good way of doing it.
Barn door, man.
That way an old man will know. I'll never forget what happened because blank was wearing blank. 844-999-OLA.
Cow's getting out.
Yeah, hey, man.
Bull showed its face.
Chicken, get out of that roof.
On the backside, you can see the coin slide.
Eggs are rolling out of the barn, man.
The coin slide.
Hello, Fred. Welcome to the men's room.
Hey there, hola.
Hola.
So I'll never forget this because what turned out to be one of my good buddies was wearing back in the old Golden Garden days when they would have keggers. Okay, you guys with me? I know you guys are. You guys
Absolutely.
are
We hold this. We know this whole kegger thing. Yeah.
What is this?
Right.
Oh, there's a
Down
big
at
tub of
Golden
beer.
Garden. So this dude was a good engine builder, had hot rods and stuff. A lot of people listening probably know this guy. He's well known. He's very smart, intelligent, and he would do a little bit of some cocaine.
Oh, just throw him under the bus. And then after he got done having sex with a billionaire's wife who lived right on the top of the hill there.
So we get to know this guy, and turns out he likes to cross-dress.
Well, all right.
Is this Oscar De La
Yeah.
Hoya?
And yes, it is. No. But yeah, it was just really strange to see this guy, such a manly dude, turn into some chick. And I really have to watch my Oh, man, it was, dude looked like a lady. It was not so pretty.
We did that one. We kind of ambushed a friend of ours, our buddy Tony. Tony's notoriously late for everything. And I'll tell you, it's not his fault. Whatever. So we're probably about 20 years old, and we're all going to go bowling. And 4 of us total. Tony's going to go separate because, of course, Tony has to do blah, 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 blah. So no chance he'll be there at the time we've agreed to meet. Well, we get kind of high before we decide to go. And my buddy Paul, he's like, hey, man, swing by my parents' house. We raid his mother's closet, right? And everyone dresses in drag. And then we go bowling. And granted, we think this is hilarious, but we show up, and obviously as soon as we walk in, nobody really wants to deal with us. They think we're going to be worse than we are, but we're behaving pretty well, but we're clearly just in drag. But we start bowling, kind of forget about it. Tony shows up, and again, we've kind of forgotten we're in drags. We've gotten used to it. Tony walks right by us. We can see he's actively looking for us, right? You know, you kind of strain your neck, walks by us. We're like, dude, he doesn't know it's us. I just want you to imagine the face of any friend you have who's going to be very uncomfortable joining your party.
Yes.
And so we're like, Tony. So he hears our voice, looks right past us again, but recognizes our voice. We wave to him. Man, the look on Tony's face, the look of just sheer irritation, disgust, and humiliation. All he wanted to do was not join us, but, he joined us. And trust me, we went out to the bar after that. We went out for dinner. He was mad at us all night.
Men's Room blank question. I'll never forget what happened because blank was wearing blank. We've got your emails on the way from the Men's Room at mensroomlive.com. You are listening to the Men's Room Radio Network.
We return to the Men's Room with Miles and Thrill.
Men's Room blank question. I will never forget what happened because blank was wearing blank. And here come those emails from the Men's Room at mensroomlive.com.
You've got mail. You've got mail.
Guys, I once had a shirt that in very, very, very small print said, "Nosy little effer, aren't you?" People would lean in real close so they could read my shirt and then act so offended once they did. Without fail, every time I wore that shirt, it would happen. It always made my day. I love you guys. That from Tina.
I remember that. There was a woman.
A good shirt.
She had very large breasts and in very small print. Probably the same thing. It just said nosy bitch. But you couldn't help but lean in and look at it. And I'm like, all right.
That is one tough thing with shirts that say a lot.
Well,
like
reading it?
Yeah, well, just when somebody's coming at you, like, I don't want to stare at them, but, like, I'm trying to just read the shirt.
Yeah.
I will never forget the time I saw my dad naked because he was wearing nothing. Male nudity is one thing, made even worse when it's your own father.
Yeah.
Especially if you would see it in the morning.
Oh, no.
Not
That's a big negative, dude. Right.
Yeah, no. So, 2 quick stories. My ex's uncle and I used to go swimming every week at the local pool. One day, I accidentally brought an extra pair of bikini bottoms. My ex dared his uncle to wear them for $10. He did it, and after a few cannonballs, pun intended, he got kicked out, but we died from laughter. Story 2. My husband and I went to a cabin at Mount Baker with our friends. My husband and friend John stayed up late, hot tubbing and drinking copious amounts of booze. I woke up at 2 a.m. to giggling. John's wife was trying to get clothes on both of them. They had T-shirts on, but nothing else. Then they decided to run around the cabin, giggling and acting like toddlers. I sat my husband down and lectured him while trying not to laugh, and John stood behind me the whole time apologizing for his D, all while it was 7 inches away from my face. Absolutely hilarious night, though. That from Whidbey Island, Cara. Guys, my wife and I went to a little beach in Maui last year. It was a nude beach. She decided to go sit in the shallow water. While she was there, 2 men walked up on both sides of her and decided to have a conversation. I was watching when she looked to the right, and she was embarrassed because a dude's junk was in her face. So she quickly turned to the left, and more junk in the face. I was laughing so hard. That from John. Guys, it was the early 70s, and my brother-in-law was bemoaning the fact that he didn't have a suit to wear to his mother's funeral. His church gave him money to buy one, and he bought a red and white checkered leisure suit. And he wore that to his mom's memorial. That from Dave. Let's see. Do we have time for a few extra emails here for the men's room at mensroomlive.com?
You've got mail. You've got mail.
Guys, I suck. I missed my husband's 41st birthday. I didn't miss it. I just missed out on my chance for him to get a shout out in the men's room.
That's too bad.
Well, that means you missed it. His birthday was the other day. I asked him what he wanted. He said a Leroy Jenkins, but I was too drunk and I forgot. P.S. He loves hearing you all talk over each other about his drunk wife that sucks. His name is Frefrey. Yes, please refer to him by that name. No, there's no...
We can't do it.
Nothing.
Sorry,
you
Frefrey.
blew it, man. As a matter of fact, you're going to have to make it up to him all year long.
Mm-hmm. Leroy Jenkins about to take on a new meaning.
I'm telling you, guys don't say happy birthday when it's not someone's birthday.
No.
It's not what we do.
If you're sucking that bad, start... No.
Matter of fact, the drunk in charge, Ryan Castle, comes in here to sit and spin, right?
Yeah.
He's got a big birthday coming up.
Yeah, coming up.
Yeah, guess when it is? It's on a weekend.
Guess what?
So
Nice.
I'll never tell him happy birthday. You know why? Because I won't be around him on that day. I'll never see him. Bitches, is my long-lost buddy Kyle's 27th birthday. Can he please get along with the birthday song, a Suck It Up Cupcake, and the Dirty Germans talking about trucks? Thanks, guys, for the laughs. That from TJ.
So, suck it up, cupcake!
Yeah, if you like trucks, what begins with F and ends with UCK? Fire truck.
Yeah, I like El Caminos because the back is like a truck, and that's what you...
Bitches, tomorrow is our little sister's 31st trip around the sun. She won't be able to listen. Oh, this is from yesterday, but I'm doing it today because today is, in fact, her birthday. She would greatly appreciate it if you could play a What the F is That and some Dirty Germans giving her some good hiking tips. Thank you, guys. That from Andrew and Marissa.
Oh my God, what the is that, bro?
Yeah, if you like to hike, simply hike up your skirt. I will investigate your trailhead.
Yeah, you should always take essentials. Maybe a power ball for protein, and then don't forget to grab 2 poles.
Hello, Macholas. It's Sarah Sweets here. It's my 31st birthday. Last year, I asked you guys for some sounds. Al hitting the window. Oh, my God, what the hell is that? Jay and a Suck It Up Cupcake. However, you guys were so high you couldn't do it. Of course, my birthday has to be during Weed Week, but if you could please play those for me this year, that would be cool. Thanks, guys. So again, for Sarah Sweets, could we have an Al hitting the window? And oh, my God, what the hell is that, Jay? And a Suck It Up Cupcake, please.
Oh my God, what the is that, bro?
So, suck it up, cupcake!
Hello, Macholas. Today is my good buddy Dave's birthday. I love the guy like the older brother I never had, mostly because he has the same sick sense of humor as I. And for that, I would like to request the Dirty Germans to wish him a very inappropriate birthday, and he really does like it dirty. Thanks, guys. That from Heller.
Yeah, for your birthday, I will turn your butt into my own bra. It will be my very own D cup.
Yeah, if she wants to get that dirty, let's get in the mud and mess around. Maybe I'll play in some pudding.
Guys, I know no one will call in to say it's my birthday, so if I could, for my 34th, get thrilled doing his best white trash impersonation. That from Kyle.
My best white trash?
White trash impersonation. That's what Kyle wants.
It's huge.
Bichola has been trying to remember to do this for years, since I'm the only person I know who listens to you guys down here in Eugene, Oregon. I have to wish myself a happy 35th birthday. I was hoping to get a Your Penis is Too Small and Mike saying Squish Mitten. Thanks, guys.
Oh.
That from Charlie.
Why in the world would I say squish mitten?
Oh, it's my 38th trip around the sun. I was hoping for a birthday shout out and a birthday song. How about a little turtle wax with a You Like That, and finish it up maybe with some Dirty Germans. That from Ian in Ferndale.
You like that? You like that?
Oh, dear Jesus!
Yeah, I'd like to introduce you to my bald twin. Try not to stare at his one eye.
Yeah, I'd like to introduce you to my hedgehog. Kind of smells like cheese.
Yeah, it's hedgehog, known to smell like cheese.
Yeah, cheese hog.
Cheesy queso hedgehog. Queso hog.
It's just hog and queso.
Boo bitches love the show. Never realized how normal I was until I listened to you. It is my 58th trip around the sun, and the best is yet to come. Can I get a little girl fish sandwich and a Joey Chestnut or a Kirk Cousins? Keep on rocking. Aloha. That from Baby Louise.
Fish sandwich.
You like that? You like that?
All right, guys, here you go.
Happy, happy, happy birthday. Happy, happy, happy birthday. Happy, happy, happy birthday to you, bitches.
Ya's the Dirty Germans, brought to you by Men's Room Original Sausage. Available through Uli's World Famous Sausage, mensroomlive.com, and other fine retailers. Schweinefly.
From when did an animal amaze you? Guys, I had to write in. I used to commercially fish in Alaska, and I've seen many animals do strange things. I've seen grizzly and black bears fishing in streams on the shore, or just moseying around and hiking trails, in which case I steered clear. I've seen bald eagles swoop down on 15-pound king salmons, kill them, and swim them back to shore. And once I saw a bald eagle pick up a Taurus terrier and drop it over the road from 20 feet up. I've caught sea lions, sea otters, nasty little effers, salmon sharks, baby great whites, and even a juvenile porpoise in my porpoise in my salmon nets. And I pulled up creatures from the bottom of the ocean that even my college marine biologist teacher could not easily classify. But the coolest animals you could see are the whales. I've seen them eat krill off of icebergs, watched them bubble feeding, and even rammed into one while he was napping after he and his buddies picked all the fish off our long line gear. But for the rest of my life, I will always remember the time we were running across Chatham Sound and had a pod of orcas swim next to us. They played off our bow, and we assumed they were teaching their new baby how to swim around boats. I sat on the deck for 3 hours just watching them. Needless to say, if you want to see nature in its finest, Alaska truly is the last frontier, and I would recommend anyone visit. Stay classy, you dinosaurs. That from Cole. Couple more. Bitches and Robin, you most definitely can have a pet raccoon, but it's very much at your own risk. My mother has friends that keep several as pets. I live in northwestern Missouri, and pet raccoons used to be so common that it spawned the phrase crazy as a pet coon. Rock on, boys. That from Jacob, listening on 98.9 in Kansas City.
I mean, isn't that like any wild animal? You could have it as a pet at your own.
Yeah, sure. Very well it. Just add Siegfried and Roy. A time an animal amazed me was about a month ago. I was down at the beach with my girlfriend, and we were out on the beach flying kites and having a good time. There are seagulls flying everywhere, and out of nowhere, an eagle comes flying down, grabs a seagull mid-flight, and takes off to go eat it, killing it in the air. Craziest S I've ever seen. That from Austin. Guys, I am Aaron Lane of Picayune, Mississippi. How would you say that? Is that Picayune?
Where am I looking? Picayune.
Picayune.
Oh, like the paper.
Like the Times Picayune.
Oh, okay. I'm Aaron Lane of the Picayune, Mississippi. The animal that surprised me the most was Shamu the orca. Yeah, I'm talking about the SeaWorld Shamu. It must take years to train that whale to do all that stuff that it does. And, guys, I have to confirm the blue panty story with the dog. I got caught the same way after 2 years of hell. But in defense of the dog, the new panties I got a hold of, well, were way better. Been married to that over 27 years.
Married to that?
Yeah, that from Wesley. Well,
I'm married to that.
I mean, look.
I married those panties.
Oh, let me read that.
Yeah. Oh, as far as weird names, catching up, guys, in my town in Hawaii growing up, there was a realtor named Mary Jane Stoner. Fellas, I went to school with a family that had the last name Butt Savage.
Savage?
No joke. Somewhere out there is a
How'd you get your last name? What does it mean?
Is a Mrs. Butt Savage. Also, there was a girl with the last name Adcock, and she played girls lacrosse. Well, they had their names on the back of their booty shirts, and her butt said, yeah.
Oh.
Too bad she was, yeah. Please get Men's Room Red in the Philly area. Love your show. Keep it up, you friggin' F-bombs. That from Philly Jim.
We're not in Philly. For some reason, I thought we may have been in the Philly area, man.
Dude, I knew a butt kiss.
A butt kiss? That's better than Adcock.
There's another one from Missouri.
I mean, that's...
highest place.
Well, I agree.
Highest place I peed. Back in high school, me and my buddies would go booze cruising outside of Kearney, Missouri, and pee off a bridge onto the passing cars on I-35. Famous laugh every time. Good times.
Get a convertible, kids.
Still come and drink and toast to the shout of the day, but first...
Now, the men's room wants to know... Who sucks less?
Yay! Time once again for Who Sucks Less. Stephen Thrill-Hill, you bring us 3 stories from the news. It's up to us to determine which of these 3 stories suck the least. Now, if you like the Men's Room on Facebook or follow us on Twitter at Men's Room Live, the debate is already underway on Who Sucks Less.
And you're right, Miles, we have 3 stories here. Each one of these stories reinforces our commitment that people are awesome everywhere. But today, essentially, we have the Lancaster, Pennsylvania School Board. They'll be competing against a man who chose to represent himself in court in Florida, and then they'll be taking on a Russian morgue worker. Well, let's start in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. We brought you this story the other day, but it's worth repeating. A teacher by the name of Kyle Byler. Now, he's an 8th grade teacher at Hand Middle School of Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and he says, in his own words, quote, "My students worked my butts off." This during last week's standardized testing. And while they were focusing on the Pennsylvania system of school assessment, he plugged in an electric griddle, made each kid a single whole grain pancake. That way they could eat it during the test, and says, look, he's now likely to be fired for it. This coming from the Pennsylvania Department of Education. All right? Now keep in mind, all but 5%, so 95% of the students in this guy's class are from low-income families, and for some, the pancake might be the only hot meal they've gotten. So while they're taking the test...
Which is like 3 hours long.
Right. I mean, you remember taking the standardized test.
Put the pen down.
We all know. Number 2 pencil, that stuff. So, right, he made the pancakes for him. Well, the thing is, one of the assistant principals walked into the class during the test and told him right then and there, hey, man, you might be fired for causing a distraction. That was the first time the kids were distracted during the test, is when the teacher said that. Nevertheless, the 38-year-old, he's been at the school since 2013. Well, I won't say what he says. Well, let's just say he's not fond of that decision, but he might lose his job for feeding his students during these ridiculous, pointless tests. So that's Lancaster. Now, let us go to the fine state of Florida, where, let's face it, in this country, one of the benefits we have, if you want to represent yourself in court, you can do it. Is it a good idea? Never. And in this case, a Marin County man, he's on trial for rape. But he decided to represent himself. But here is generally his defense position. He says he could not have committed the crime because he is, and this is a quote, a good-looking guy. And the victim is 300 pounds.
Oh, man.
This is his defense. Izell Lewis, that's the guy's name. He chose to represent himself during last week's proceedings. The judge recommended heavily against it, but finally they consented to the motion. And keep in mind, when the judge consented to the motion, it erased the work of the court-appointed lawyer for this guy. And it should be noted that that attorney, he prepared a motion to dismiss the case because the prosecution failed to report the discrepancy regarding the date of the alleged offense. They gave 2 different dates. Basically, this would have gotten thrown out. But this guy decided to represent himself. The judge even tried to explain, like, hey, if we go with your lawyer, there's a good chance nothing's going to happen. He said, to hell with it, I'll defend myself. And again, his defense was, I'm good looking. She's 300 pounds. I couldn't have done it. Now let's go to Russia, where we have a morgue worker. And in this case, a morgue technician, he has been fired after tests revealed that he had sex with the corpse of a murdered reality star. So the Russian equivalent of the TV show Big Brother, one of the women that had been on that show, and they had a picture of her and she was alive. She's cute. She looked like any contestant that goes on Big Brother. All right. Well, she died from whatever causes. She died in 2008. He had sex with her body in 2008. The reason he got caught is because questions started swirling around her actual cause of death. So they exhumed her body, looking for something else entirely. But when they ran DNA tests, they realized she had been sexually assaulted after death. Again, this is 10 years ago. The evidence came back, said it was him. He didn't deny it. And as you'd imagine, he lost his job. So again, we have the Lancaster, Pennsylvania teaching board, or whatever.
The teaching board, not the teacher.
Not the teacher themselves, but the teaching board, who's threatening to fire this guy for making a single whole grain pancake for each one of his students during the standardized testing. They're taking on the Florida genius, who has chosen to represent himself in a rape case, but he alleges he's too good looking to have raped her because she's 300 pounds. And they're competing against the Russian morgue worker, who apparently sexually assaulted the corpse of a reality star 10 years prior, but only got busted because they had to exhume her body for something unrelated. But he admits that he did it.
I'm somewhere between the morgue worker and the teacher.
The teaching
Pennsylvania
board?
thing, the teaching board's sucking the least. I think the rape case is the worst.
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe, I mean, it sucks that teacher's going to lose his job. Maybe I'll say that sucks the least just because the vice principal's following the letter of the law on the
I
school.
guess, maybe.
It doesn't make it any better, but I just can't say a guy that's raping or rape and then a necrophilia. I just can't.
Yeah, right.
I just can't do it.
Don't
Sorry.
feel bad about that. It's okay, man.
Kick it down.
All right. Yes. If you like the Men's Room on Facebook or follow us on Twitter at Men's Room Live, the debate continues on Who Sucks Less. All right. Coming up, we'll drink a toast with the shot of the day. The return of what you don't need to know gets obscure with some weird rules in sports. And it's coming up next. You are listening to the Men's Room Radio Network.
Hola, bitches. You're listening to the Men's Room.
All right. Hang out there. We're going to drink a toast. Coming up, the shot of the day is moments away. But first,
We're full of useless information, and you have far too many brain cells not to let us kill a few. So lend an ear while the Men's Room shares what you don't need to know.
as they say, sports rule books can be very dense, complicated, because they have to account for every possible scenario. And although we believe we know a whole lot about sports, as far as the rules are concerned, there is some really obscure stuff out there. So what we have here today is from USA Today, 13 bizarre rules in sports. We'll see if you guys know any of these. NFL Rule 1132, the 1-point safety. The 1-point safety.
Oh, I mean,
1 point.
the only thing I could think, maybe if you're going for the,
It's a long shot.
The point after?
It happens when there's a safety on an extra point attempt, which results
So it is
in
only
1
1
point
point.
for the tackling team. It has happened a couple times in college, but has never happened in the NFL. Technically, a 1-point safety can be scored against the kicking team, too, but the ball would have to somehow travel all the way back to the other end zone, which is ridiculously unlikely. All right, you know of Rule 3-8 in the NFL. That's the drop kick. Doug Flutie did it at one point in time.
Yeah.
You can drop the ball, kick it off the ground, up the uprights for 1 point. Doug Flutie did it at the end of the 2005 season as a joke in an actual NFL football game. But it hadn't been converted up until 1941 before that. All right, we'll go to Major League Baseball. Rule 7.05, the no hat catch. That's right. A player is not allowed to catch a ball in his hat. If he does, what is the ruling?
It's not an out.
3 bases.
Really? If he catches it in his hat?
It's triple. That's exactly right. NFL Rule 11.43, the fair catch kick. Listen to this one. If a punt returner calls for a fair catch, the receiving team then has the option of attempting an undefended field goal from the spot. In other words, I punt the ball out of the back of the end zone. It's a short one.
All right.
Maybe I've called for a fair catch at the 30, right?
Okay.
I shank it. I catch it. I can kick a field goal from that point undefended.
Who? The
The
kicker?
kicker, the team that received the ball.
They can kick a field goal.
They can kick a field goal with a fair catch. They can decide to take it. It's only happened a couple times. San Francisco 49ers actually attempted it. One of those in 2013, but it was a 71-yard kick.
okay, well, that's a problem.
So they didn't make
Tough.
it.
That's
All
going
right.
to be tough.
NHL Rule 60.3. These are obscure rules in sports. The blood rule in hockey. Now, high sticking, normally a minor.
Only
That
Crips can play.
That sends players to the penalty box for 2 minutes. But if high sticking causes injury, refs can assess a double minor, which means 4 minutes in the box. So what constitutes injury in the NHL?
Blood.
Gotta see blood.
You gotta see blood. NCAA
No blood, no
basketball
foul.
rule 4-1, no dunking before the game. When the final 20-minute countdown begins, you cannot dunk the basketball. If you do, you can get a technical even though the game hasn't started. Other little-known reasons for technicals before the game or during: face guarding, climbing or lifting a teammate, attempting a free throw that's not yours to take, and possessing or using tobacco. And one more. In European chess, the union regulation is 13-2, no cleavage. Back in 2012, the European Chess Union announced that women wearing shirts or blouses may only have, quote, the second from the top button open during competition.
What if she only has 2 buttons on the entire shirt?
She's disqualified, and there you go with what you don't need to know. All right, Wobbin, have we made it to drinking time?
Somebody out there deserves to be recognized. And the Men's Room knows just who it is. So to you we say, bottoms up, sailor. You're the toast of our shot of the day.
Drink time it is, and as usual, we head to the drink desk and Steve Throwhill to find out who we're toasting.
Yes, indeed. And today we toast the NYPD, specifically those working in the fine borough of Brooklyn. In this case, the Brooklyn cops, well, they got a call from a desperate mother. She called 911. She said her son was being disruptive. He'd busted up their home. He'd run off. He obviously has some mental problems. So, according to the mom, said he was acting really weird. He was breaking up my apartment. He was breaking up my stuff. He broke all my china. So the cops show up, and finally they confront the guy, and they try to subdue him, and they already know he's in a bad frame of mind. And in this case, he's being remarkably uncooperative. But they asked him what happened. He's like, why are you arresting me? And they said, listen, your mom called us, said you're losing yourself. He denies it, keeps freaking out. Well, eventually, they tackle him to the ground. They had to stun this guy 3 times just to subdue him. They finally get him under control. They put him in an ambulance. They're going to drive him to the hospital. But they go and get his mother, and they say, hey, if you want to say anything to your son before we take him downtown, we went through a lot of trouble. We got him. So she walks in the ambulance and looks in there and says, that is not my son. Oh, that is not the person. This is why he was resisting arrest and difficult to subdue. They got the wrong guy. So we pour this booze and we drink this booze because we think it's yummy.
Yummy!
So over the tongue and down the throat to party in our tummies. Down the hola, bichola!
Get caller 9 in the line for a little profile of this. 844-999-OLA.
Hola! The shenanigans continue on the Men's Room Radio Network.